Think about it, you spent years in history class. Did anyone ever tell you that the first alarm clock could only ring at 4 a.m., or that the world's first photograph took 8 hours to capture? Today, we're about to explore 30 of the most unbelievable historical facts that you probably never learned in school. Hey everyone, it's great to have you back at Growth Whisper. Stay till the end, number 30 is one of the most interesting thing I've ever come across. Alright, let's get started. Einstein was offered the presidency of Israel. After the first president of Israel died, Einstein was asked to take the role. He declined, saying he didn't have the natural aptitude for politics. The Olympic Games once gave out medals for art from 1912 to 1948. The Olympics awarded medals not just for sports but also for painting, literature, music, and architecture. Imagine winning gold for poetry. The Eiffel Tower was almost temporary. When it was built in 1889, the Eiffel Tower was supposed to stand for only 20 years. Parisians even hated it at first, calling it ugly. Now it's the symbol of France. The Victorians sent strange postcards. In the 1800s, people mailed postcards featuring things like children being stuffed into cabbages or cats playing violins. Weird sense of humor back then. Ketchup was once sold as medicine. In the 1830s, ketchup was marketed as a cure for indigestion. Doctors even prescribed it in pill form. A 6-year-old was once crowned king. King Tutankhamun became ruler of Egypt at around 8 or 9 years old. But he wasn't the youngest. Henry VI of England became king at just 8 months old. Viking helmets didn't have horns. Despite what movies show, real Viking helmets didn't have horns. That myth started in the 1800s, thanks to costume designers for opera plays. George Washington didn't have wooden teeth. Another school myth. Washington's dentures were made from human teeth, animal teeth, and ivory, but never wood. In the Middle Ages, animals could be put on trial. Yes, pigs, cows, and even insects were sometimes put on trial and punished as if they were humans. Ancient Romans used urine as mouthwash. They believed urine had cleaning properties and used it to whiten teeth. The Romans were very conscious of having white teeth. The ammonia in the decomposed urine provided the exact chemical action needed to whiten teeth. A chicken lived for 18 months without its head. In 1945, a farmer cut off a chicken's head, but it survived for a year and a half because part of its brainstem was left intact. It was known as Mike the Headless Chicken. The Leaning Tower of Pisa took 200 years to build. Construction started in 1173, but because of wars and poor planning, it wasn't finished until the 1300s. The tilt? It started leaning almost immediately. People once thought tomatoes were poisonous. In Europe, tomatoes were called poison apples because aristocrats who ate them fall sick. Turns out, the pewter plates they used reacted with the tomato's acidity, causing lead poisoning. The first alarm clock could only ring at 4 a.m. Invented in 1787 by American inventor Levi Hutchins. It had just one setting, and yes, it was permanently stuck at 4 in the morning. Hutchins didn't create this to sell or help anyone else, he made it for himself because he was obsessed with waking up at exactly 4 a.m. every day. He believed it was the secret to productivity and success. Peter the Great imposed a beard tax. In 1698, Russian men had to pay a tax if they wanted to keep their beards. If they refused, the beard was forcibly shaved off. Ancient Egyptians loved board games. They played a game called Senet, kind of like a mix between chess and checkers. Even pharaohs were buried with their game boards. The first vending machine sold holy water. In ancient Alexandria, a mathematician named Hero invented the world's first vending machine, and it dispensed holy water in Egyptian temples. Here's how it worked. You drop a coin in the slot, its weight would trigger a lever that opened a valve, and holy water would pour out for a few seconds before the coin slipped off and stopped the flow. The Guinness Book of Records was created to stop bar fights. The managing director of Guinness Brewery wanted to settle arguments about trivia in pubs. That's why the Guinness World Records book was made. The first airplane ticket cost only $5. In 1914, the very first paid airplane flight took place between St. Petersburg and Tampa, Florida. The ticket price? Just $5, but that was still pretty expensive back then. The flight lasted only 23 minutes and carried one passenger, marking the beginning of commercial aviation. Ancient Romans used concrete that can heal itself. Roman concrete has lasted for thousands of years, longer than most modern buildings. Scientists discovered it contains lime clumps that react with water, allowing cracks to heal over time. So in a way, the Romans invented self-repairing materials 2,000 years ago. The world's first photograph took 8 hours to capture. In 1826, Joseph Nicephore Niepce took the very first photo ever, but his camera needed 8 full hours of light exposure. The picture showed the view from his window, and though it's blurry, it changed history forever. Imagine sitting still for that long just to get one photo. Abraham Lincoln was a licensed bartender. Before becoming president, Lincoln co-owned a small tavern in Illinois. He even had a license to serve alcohol, though the business didn't last long. Who would have guessed one of history's greatest leaders once worked behind a bar? The first ever submarine was built in the 1600s. Way before modern technology, in 1620, a man named Cornelius Drebbel built the world's first working submarine for King James I of England. It was made of wood, covered in greased leather to keep water out, and powered by 12 rowers using oars through watertight seals. Amazingly, it could dive up to 15 feet underwater in the River Thames, a remarkable feat for the time. Though primitive, Drebbel's invention laid the foundation for all future submarines, proving that human curiosity always finds a way to explore the unknown. A typo once caused a massive stock market crash. In 2005, a Japanese trader accidentally entered an order to sell 610,000 shares instead of just one, causing chaos in the Tokyo Stock Exchange. It cost the company over $225 million in just a few minutes, all because of a single misplaced zero. Cleopatra lived closer to the iPhone than to the pyramids. The Great Pyramid of Giza was built around 2560 BC. Cleopatra lived around 30 BC. That means she lived closer to our time, with iPhones, planes, and cars, than to the building of the pyramids. The first orange fruits weren't orange. Originally, oranges from Southeast Asia were green, not orange. Even today, many oranges in tropical regions stay green when ripe. The color we know came later through selective breeding. The Great Wall of China isn't one continuous wall. It's actually a collection of many walls built over different dynasties. If you add up all its sections, the wall stretches for more than 13,000 miles, over half the circumference of Earth. Here's what they don't tell you. Different emperors built different sections over 2,000 years, and many of these walls don't even connect. Some run parallel to each other, some overlap, and some are hundreds of miles apart. The most famous section tourists visit today, that was built by the Ming dynasty in the 1400s and represents only about 5% of the total wall system. The rest includes ancient crumbling barriers. Some made of packed dirt, others from stone, and many that have completely disappeared over time. The Titanic's band kept playing as the ship sank. As the Titanic went down, the ship's band continued playing music on deck to keep passengers calm. All 8 musicians perished, and witnesses reported they played until the very end. Their final song is debated, but many believe it was the hymn Nearer, My God, to Thee. None of the band members survived, and they're remembered as heroes who chose to comfort others instead of saving themselves. The first computer bug was a real insect. In 1947, engineers found a moth stuck inside the Harvard Mark II computer, causing an error. They taped it into the logbook and labeled it First Actual Case of a Bug Being Found. The engineers were led by Grace Hopper, a legendary computer scientist and Navy admiral. When the computer malfunctioned, they spent hours trying to figure out what went wrong. Finally, they opened up the massive machine and discovered a moth trap between the relay contacts of panel F. From that day forward, fixing computer problems became known as debugging, and it's all because of one unfortunate moth that flew into the wrong machine at the wrong time. The first ever email was sent in 1971. Computer engineer Ray Tomlinson sent the first email between two machines side by side. Tomlinson himself admitted he couldn't remember exactly what he typed, but it was probably something like QWERTY or testing 123. He wasn't trying to make history, he was just testing if his program actually worked. Tomlinson invented the @ symbol to separate the user's name from the computer name. Before that, @ was barely used for anything. Now it's one of the most recognized symbols on the planet. Tomlinson's boss told him to stop wasting time on this email project because it wasn't part of his assigned work. He was literally supposed to be doing something else. But he secretly worked on email anyway. Today, over 300 billion emails are sent every single day, all because one engineer ignored his boss and typed random letters between two computers sitting 3 feet apart. That concludes our list of 30 crazy historical facts they never taught you in school. Drop your favorite fact in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to Growth Whisper, and share this video with a friend who thinks history is boring. Thanks for watching, this is Growth Whisper, and I'll see you in the next one.